Now, back in July, the Wall Street Journal had a scathing report on Hillary Clinton had once helped out one of the largest financial institutions in the world. And in return, this institution ended up funneling millions of dollars to the Clinton family. Now, the piece reports that as Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton intervened to help this giant bank out with the IRS. And after that, oh, look at that. After she helped them out with the IRS, UBS, which is the bank, ended up paying Bill Clinton about $1.5 million in speaking fees, and they ramped up donations to the Clinton Foundation. So let me give you some of the details from this report. They read a few weeks after Hillary Clinton was sworn in as Secretary of State in early 2009, she was summoned to Geneva by her Swiss counterpart to discuss an urgent matter. The IRS was suing UBS AG to get the identities of Americans with secret accounts. If the case proceeded, Switzerland's largest bank would face an impossible choice: violate Swiss secrecy laws by handing over the names, or refuse and face criminal charges in the U.S. Within months, Mrs. Clinton announced a tentative legal settlement, an unusual intervention by the top U.S. diplomat. And because of her intervention, UBS ultimately turned over information on around 4,450 accounts. Now, these are accounts of Americans that are hiding their money overseas, right? Now, you might think, okay, hey, look, victory, right? We got 4,450 accounts. That's fantastic. Well, the IRS was actually seeking 5,200 accounts. Ugh. Whoa. That's a lot of accounts. So, okay. Let me just kind of put this out there first, right? That's kind of a tough choice. Yes, Switzerland has certain laws on secrecy. So there, and then of course you don't want to face troubles in the United States. So what do? Tough choice, right? I get it. Now, as the article mentions, when they were trying to make this choice, here comes Hillary Clinton to help UBS by essentially making a deal to only give a fraction of that information sought by the IRS. Now, there are reasons that they wanted to know these accounts, obviously because there were Americans stashing their money overseas in these Swiss bank accounts. And look, it's not as if UBS hasn't done some shady shit in the past to warrant some investigations. Remember, people putting their money in UBS have it shielded from taxation and also from, because of these secrecy laws, from international probes, right? So they don't know what they're doing with that money. The authorities don't know what they're doing with that money. The people that have the money in there sure do. And look, UBS, because of these laws, have done some pretty shady shit. For example, if you remember, UBS was actually laundering money for drug cartels and had, of course, been indicted for tax fraud, punished for tax fraud. And they were even involved in the LIBOR price-fixing scandal, among many other scandals. In fact, they've got a huge rap sheet of paying fines and fees for doing shady, illegal business. And if Americans had accounts there, which they did, well, and they were breaking U.S. laws, you kind of want to know that, right? So that you can go after these people. Now, in return for Hillary Clinton helping UBS and preventing them from having to reveal the identities of 5,200 people, or I should say the remaining 48,000 other accounts belonging to wealthy Americans who wanted to shield their money from taxes, the bank hired Bill Clinton to do speeches. In the article, then reporters James V. Grimaldi and Rebecca Ballhaus lay out how UBS helped the Clintons. Total donations, they write, by UBS to the Clinton Foundation grew from less than $60,000 through 2008 to a cumulative total of about $600,000 by the end of 2014, according to the foundation and the bank. They report the bank also joined the Clinton Foundation to launch an entrepreneur and ship and intercity loan programs, through which it lent about $32 million. And on top of that, it paid former President Bill Clinton $1.5 million to participate in a series of question and answer sessions with UBS Wealth Management Chief Executive Bob McCann, making UBS Bill Clinton's biggest corporate source of speech income since he left the White House. I wonder if there's a connection between her helping UBS and getting all these things in return, these donations. I wonder if that's got anything to do with anything. Now, the article makes sure to add that, quote, there is no evidence of any link between Mrs. Clinton's involvement in the case and the bank's donation to the Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea Clinton Foundation, or its hiring of Mr. Clinton. Yes, I'm sure it's all a coincidence. All a coincidence, man. No, it's not a coincidence. Seeing a rise in donations to the Clinton Foundation just after she intervened on their behalf is not a coincidence. Getting Bill Clinton hired on to do a whole bunch of really easy question and answer sessions with Bob McCann, not a coincidence. It's not like, oh, golly gee, look, we were just considering increasing our donations to the Clinton Foundation and hiring on Bill Clinton because we just love hearing this guy speak and we want to pay him $1.5 million. But then, out of the goodness of your heart, you just happen to intervene on our behalf right before we started doing that. Nobody believes that. If you do, come on, man, think about it. Think about it. Look, this is a good example of the company returning a favor from someone in power. Now, I'm not saying that this was planned all along, right? Knowing that she was going to get those donations. But the fact that she and Bill Clinton accepted them is part of the problem. Now, I'm saying that she might not know, or she might have known the effect of helping out UBS. I don't know. I'm not in the head of Hillary Clinton, nor do I want to be. But look, here's the thing, right? It's not as if Hillary Clinton doesn't have presidential ambitions, or didn't have. Obviously, she's running for president again. And it's not as if she didn't hold political office at that time. I mean, she was Secretary of State. She was using her power to help UBS. And that's the issue here. That's the issue. Okay? So, what would have made it better? What could they do to make this better? Or could have done? Well, for one, not taking the money. Giving the money back. No, we're not going to do that. That's conflict of interest. Okay? I don't want to do that. I'm not going to take that money. I helped you out because it's for the good of the economy. Or whatever. Okay, fine. Not getting anything in return? Fine. Don't do that. Right? As I said, it would have been better for her to not take that money because UBS, like I said, is a very shady company that has laundered money for drug cartels. This is not a place you want to be associated with. But unfortunately, with Bill Clinton, with Hillary Clinton, they can't resist that money. He couldn't resist that $1.5 million in speaking fees. Despite the fact that, look, they're rich. They're incredibly rich. Together, the Clintons have made $3 billion off their political careers. This isn't campaign contributions. This is money going directly into their pockets for selling out. And Bill Clinton, he sold out, and he sold out big. This is from McClatchy back in June. 10 of the world's biggest financial institutions, including UBS, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, Citigroup, and Goldman Sachs, they have all hired Bill Clinton numerous times since 2004 to speak for fees totaling more than $6.4 million. Hillary Clinton has also accepted speaking fees from at least one bank, and along with an 11th bank, the French giant BNP Paribas, the financial Goliaths had also donated as much as $24.9 million to the Clinton Foundation, the family's global charity set up to tackle causes from the AIDS epidemic in Africa to climate change. Now, I'm not saying this is an example of quid pro quo, right? But it doesn't have to be for it to be wrong, for it to look wrong, for them to be influenced by that money. And that's the problem here, the influence. But back to UBS. A campaign spokesman told The Guardian about this. Any suggestions that Hillary Clinton was driven by anything but what's in America's best interest would be false. Period. End of story. No corruption here. Nothing. So basically, is he saying that Clinton was not at all influenced by knowledge that acting to benefit the bank could possibly mean millions of dollars for her family and more in her pocket, or for her foundation. Whereas advocating against the bank would likely mean that she didn't get those donations. That's what this guy's saying. Does he think we're stupid? Yeah, of course she's going to be influenced. Anybody would be influenced. It's millions of dollars. It's $1.5 million for those speeches. Who here wouldn't do a speech for $1.5 million? Or a series of Q&As? It's about the easiest thing to do. Of course they're influenced by that. To paint Hillary Clinton as someone who is completely and totally incorruptible is fanciful bullshit. Now, look, I'm not just going to point her out. She's one person that takes advantage of this stuff. But there are many, many others. And you know why? It's not because they're necessarily bad people. It's because the system is corrupt. You put anyone in that position and you make them the same offers, and it's likely they'll do the same thing. And the fact that they don't understand how this is corruption and how they've allowed systemic corruption to be normalized is a terrible thing. It is not good for democracy. It is not good for our country. They will look at this and they say, well, she used her position to help out a bank because she could. And they helped her in return. What's the problem? That's how this works. You do a favor, you help them out of a jam, and they will donate to your foundation or their political campaign. That's how this whole thing works. And that's the problem. That's why regular people don't trust her, and they don't trust other politicians. Now, the establishment media can go on and on about how the people that distrust her only do so because there's some vast right-wing conspiracy that is out there to destroy her. Sure, there is definitely a smear machine on the right side. Okay, I get that, right? But there are people who don't believe in the bullshit, but have this feeling about Hillary Clinton that, look, this person, she doesn't represent me. And I'll use her as an example, but you can sub in any one of these, establishment politicians. That guy, that doesn't represent me. I have this feeling that they're actually just looking out for the people who sign their paychecks. Why? Because it's logical. It makes sense. You're going to represent someone who pays you for that. It doesn't work the other way around, okay? These people that don't trust her, they look at the millions of dollars that she's been given by corporations, by banks, by billionaires, special interests, and then they'll see her out there saying things like, those corporations, they've got too much influence in politics. And people will look at her and say, yeah, no shit. You're one of them. You're one of the people that actually made all of their money from that. From getting money from corporations. And banks. There's the disconnect, right? Look, that's why people don't trust her when she says, I'm going to shut down that system, money in politics. Why would anybody shut down a system that benefits them? Doesn't make any sense, right? But then it goes back to the Hillary is incorruptible. She would never be influenced by money from a corporation, except that whole bankruptcy thing. The very pro-bankruptcy bill that Elizabeth Warren slammed her on. She was against that piece of legislation when she was First Lady, but then as soon as she became senator and got all that corporate money, she was suddenly for it. This thing that would massively help out banks. Just saying. And people also don't trust her because they know that she represents the rich and the powerful. And one of the effects of this UBS thing is that Clinton ended up helping a lot of very wealthy people shield their money from U.S. taxation by preventing UBS from having to disclose all of the American accounts that were there. That helps the rich and powerful. That's not helping us. It's not helping regular families with student loan debt or a crappy mortgage. Like, for example, one from UBS or one of their subsidiaries. No. That's not helping them. And people know that. And that's why they don't like her. And that's why people around the country want to change that system. And that's why it's important to change that system.